Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Welcome to the third instalment of the Joe and Chapz Takeover. Back again by popular demand. Joe, good evening, mate. How you doing?
Good evening, Chris. How you doing, chaps, mate? I wish I was. I'm excited. Of course, I'm excited. I'm always excited to be on the show with you and having a good chat about Millwall and the things we love. But it's just a real sort of gloomy sort of time being a Millwall supporter, isn't it? And it shouldn't be. We're bloody sitting pretty in the table. We're still in the playoff position, but it just feels a bit bizarre, man, doesn't it?
We never make it easy. We never make it easy, do we, mate? And we've got a bit of an agenda for today's show, everyone. Just thought I'd quickly talk you through that so you know what to expect. So first of all, before I do that, definitely check out Ben and Stephen's Birmingham Blues video that the guys recorded the other night to give you a bit of a post-match analysis on the Birmingham game. We'll cover the Birmingham game. We'll just touch on it. That's the first thing we'll do. The second thing we'll do is we'll talk a bit about the lineup that we think we should put out for Wigan, including a bit of a Remain essay debate between Joe and I. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about the run-in of games we've got between now and the end of the season and what we think we can expect. So they're the sort of three things that we'll cover off today, Joe. But yeah, let's start off, mate. What were your thoughts overall on the Birmingham game?
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because when you look at the chances, okay, they're not what you call clear-cut chances, but there are a few chances there we could have scored from. You think about the chances we created, the determination, the hunger, the passion the players showed. And there's a lot of effort put in there. You can see that the players wanted it. You can see that we were trying. I think had we lost that game 1-0 and they were all over us and we were shit, or we weren't really pressing, or we weren't really trying hard enough, I've been a lot more, worried at this stage, and a lot more angry, really, of our team, thinking why they bottled it, but they didn't. They tried. I think you made some great points at your chat with Chapz in the last review done on the game. Whereas we've had so many shots on target at the last how many games, and we've only scored two goals, I think, over that period of time. So what was the stat? Is it 90 shots over? Is it 4 games or 5 games?
We've had over 90 shots and scored twice, which is just...
Yeah. Now, those 90 shots, they weren't all on target, but you like to think at least, 20 of them would be on target, at least, out the 90 on average. And then to get 2 goals from that, it's just it's a real shame. And I guess, the question mark will be raised there is, as good as Bradshaw's been for us this season, he's still our top goal scorer. Is he doing enough? Is he good enough at this level? Another question mark is, where's the contribution for the rest of the team? Because it just seems like unless Fleming or Bradders are scoring, there's no one else really that's contributing. And I think when you look at previous sides over the last sort of 2 or 3 seasons, even further back with Millwall, you've had the likes of defenders sort of chipping in from set pieces, and centre backs like Coops and Hutchinson scoring a few and whatnot. And even Malone last season, I mean, he scored a few himself. So we're definitely missing goals in other areas of the team. And I think, teams are sort of like, probably working us out now. And they realise you stop Fleming, you stop Bradshaw, you stop Millwall. And that's kind of like the long and short of it, really,
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. And ultimately, this all boils down to a conversion issue at the top of the pitch, right? We can't convert the chances that we're creating. We're creating enough chances. I don't like to read too much into things like XG, but the last 2 against Birmingham and Hull, we had an XG of almost 3, right, and we hadn't scored a goal, right? So that means we were expected to score over 2 goals in the match. I think that Bradshaw and Fleming did have an off day against Birmingham. I don't think they were great. But you almost give them that benefit because they have contributed over the season so much. To your point, others aren't stepping up to the plate. The only centre half we've got that scored any goals is Cresswell, Hutch, Cooper, Murray Wallace. They're not contributing. Danny Mack, Murray Wallace from fullbacks in terms of assists, they're not contributing. The 2 centre midfielders, it might be the way we set up, but not contributing in terms of goals.
I mean, you can always excuse the two DMs, that being Saville and Mitchell. But what you can't make excuses for is the attacking players. I'm sure we'll touch on that in a moment or two. But when you've got the likes of the 3 attacking players behind Bradshaw, Fleming included, okay, Fleming does contribute and score. but the other two wide attacking players don't really offer us a lot. I mean, is it tactics? Is it personnel? Is it a player's ability? Is it confidence? Because on one breath, you're thinking, well, defensively, the two wide players that get picked to play, which is often Volksammer, Honeyman was playing, and now Burke, have got a duty of care to track back, haven't they? And I think Wright loves that. And maybe we don't appreciate that as much, but maybe that's a part of our success as well. The fact that we have got a strong working side that do track back, that do help out defensively. But I guess on the flip side of that, it's detrimental to our attacking pattern because they're not giving us as much at the other end, are they?
Now on the head, mate. And this is where, like, I know Rowett comes in for criticism for his style of play and the fact that, you know, he picks the likes of Vogelsammer over SA or Watmore or whatever. And I totally understand those criticisms. But over the course of the season, it's got us to fifth in the table. So you can't really argue with that consistency. I said this on my post-match that I genuinely think the group of players we've got are performing to their maximum. They're giving everything. They've got the effort. This group of players, take position in the table out of it. This group of players in this lineup, I don't think have any right to turn up and roll over Birmingham. No. I really don't. It's because of where we are in the league and our expectations that we now think that. We've got one central striker. Central striker. Even Birmingham have got two or three, you know, Jutkovic, Hogan. And that's why I wanted to make that conversion point, Joe, because I honestly think while some of the business we did in January was okay, the fact that we didn't address that central striker option, we put all our eggs in the basket of Nisbet, it fell through, and there was no plan B. And just to have another option, and by letting a Phobie go, we don't have one. Whether we want to go two up top, whether we want to rotate Bradshaw because if he's out of form, we don't have that. And I think fundamentally, hopefully it doesn't, but that for me would be the thing that potentially could cost us.
I think we knew back then, didn't we? What we know now, we kind of knew that could be the problem early as far as back as then, because not signing a striker, letting a Phobie go, it doesn't make sense, does it really? When we spoke with Rao at that time in the lounge, I couldn't help but feel he was almost kind of like not smug, but he's almost like, well, we had money to buy Nisbet, whatever it was. We had the money there, but don't forget that money's still there. We still spend it in the summer. So it's almost like his thinking was, I wasn't going to rush or panic buy and buy another striker for the sake of buying one. So he must have knew back then that we could have a problem by not having the extra striker. But he was still prepared to do that rather than waste that money, or even some of that money, and buy and bring another striker. I'm sure he could have got someone in last minute. I'm almost certain he could have done if he wanted to, but for some reason he didn't want to do it, rightly or wrongly. It is a bit of a gamble because, I mean, thankfully, I don't want to sort of jinx it, but Bradshaw has been quite fit. He's been playing regularly each game. But you imagine he has one injury. If Bradshaw goes off next game, we are absolutely screwed because what's the options? You're going to play Volksammer there up front. You're going to play Burke there, which is not Burke's natural position. He's not even really a goal scorer. We can see that quite clearly when he gets those goal scoring opportunities. So I don't know whether again it's just that defensive mindset and that precautionary way of the way he thinks. I get the impression he didn't want to spend that money and he wanted to safeguard that money for the summer to then go out and buy another player. Now, if it works and we go up or whatever it is, and that money's there burning a hole in his pocket, then great. But I just feel that he should have spent that money. I think you're risking it by not having any strikers. Knowing you're going to let go of a Phobie as well. You need to buy a player. You need to get, even as a squad player, you just need an option, and he didn't do that. And although it hasn't bitten us on the arse too much, we've still got Bradshaw. He's still fit. He's still playing. He's still scoring now and again. We have got no options. We've got nothing that can come off the bench apart from players that are really wide players like Bennett, Burke. Players like that could probably do a job there, but not necessarily be the right choice. So it's it's a bit strange, really, isn't it? And I guess at the moment we've got to be thankful that thankful that Bradshaw's fit and he's playing, because we'd be in a whole heap of trouble right now if he wasn't.
We would, mate, and that's it. It's the reliance on one striker, and I think we've been lucky in the sense that, let's be honest, our form at the minute's not good.
Mm.
It isn't, and we're lucky in the sense that there's a lot of other teams that are around us is form that isn't good either. And if that wasn't the case, and you almost, it's not even worth thinking about. But if that wasn't the case, this would have come back to bit us on the arse already, I guess is what I'm saying. But because everyone seems to be sort of like, no, we don't want the playoffs, you have it. No, we don't want it, you have it.
Yeah.
And it just shows you that whether it's nervousness, tiredness, or the fact that the league is so, for the first time in a long time, it is so equal. And I honestly think that's what it is. I think this league, for the first time in a long time, other than Burnley, Sheffield United, the top four, which have kind of, if you've seen, there is a bit of a gap.
They've shown the quality, haven't they? Yeah.
Other than that, I honestly don't think there's much in the teams, all the way from us, all the way down to just above the relegation zone. I really don't. And you look at the points gaps, they're smaller than ever. I think that the playoff total that you'll need to get in the playoffs this year will be lower than last year. And that's because of how even the league is, So I think there is an element of that. Just to touch on your point around Rowett and not wanting to spend the money. I've always sort of thought that Alex Aldridge is in charge of the recruitment. So I don't know I don't know how the process is. In my head, the process is JB and Steve Kavanagh will say, this is the budget. Rowett will say, I think I need a striker, defender, whatever. And then Aldridge will go, here's a short list of all the players that we want. And then the negotiations will kind of take place. If that is the case, then would it be up to Rowett to decide whether we spend the money or not? I don't know. I get what you're saying from the conversation that we had. I totally understand that. And he definitely did say that the money's still there, which is great news.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a weird one.
I think it is. I think it's down to him. I mean, again, in the conversation we had with him, he mentioned about his relationship with JB, how JB sort of entrusts him to kind of make those decisions and go and buy the players he wants to buy and how he wants to spend the money. Even going back as far as the Jed Wallace scenario last season, where JB said to him, look, it's up to you. I don't feel we need to sell him in January to get the money. Let's just keep him. So money is like that. I think Rowett's been given, if he wants to go out there and buy players. I think it's probably more down to him thinking he couldn't get the player that he wanted to get in, and rather than bring a player in for sale, bring a player in, he decided to keep with what he's got. The trouble is, when you look at Bradshaw, his game is more of a poacher. He's more of a fox in the box type player. He loves scoring goals. He's very dangerous in the 6-yard box, although he was pretty terrible for the chance he had against Birmingham on that shot from Styles that he should have put away. But since his knee injury, you can see he's lost a little bit of pace. He admits himself. Eri Lee's not the strongest, although he has got better this season, I think, in trying to hold the ball up a bit more and lay the ball off. But it's still not as strength of his, and you can see he really struggles. So again, we are a little bit limited, not just in personnel, but also in the player we have got playing that position that is not really effective in that lone striker role. And you can see even in last few games, that's really kind of showing through, and that's where we're kind of lacking that kind of attacking end product, I guess. The only saving grace is the games we're going to be playing against, and I think you mentioned it on your chat with Chapz, are against teams now that are going to come forward, that are going to try and attack. So they have to win, the likes of Wigan, the likes of Blackpool, in order for them to stay up, which hopefully should leave gaps. I mean, this might sort of take us nicely onto the Wigan game now. We're going to look forward, I guess, a little bit. But if we look at Wigan's results over the last sort of 9-10 games since January, and they very rarely ship in goals. I mean, I'm quite surprised, really, that they're actually bottom of the table, because they had a decent result against Stoke on Tuesday. I think it was 1-0 to Stoke. They beat QPR a couple of weeks ago at home 1-0, and they've lost games like 1-0 or they're drawn, 0-0 with Norwich and teams like that. So they don't really give much away. I mean, they are a very tough team to break down. They do play 5 at the back as well. They're very competitive. They work hard as a unit, as a team. Mm-hmm. They've got a goal scorer with Will Keane up front who scores frequently for them this season. I think he scored like 12 or 13 goals this season. And for someone playing for a team that's bottom of the league and scoring 13 goals, whether they rely heavily on him or not, it's irrelevant. He's scoring goals, and he's not a bad player scoring goals in a team that's struggling, that don't create many chances. Although possession-wise, I think they're better with the ball than what Millwall are. So I'm a little bit worried going into Saturday's game against Wigan because A, I don't think they're going to give much away. B, they're probably a better passing side than Millwall are, so they're going to have the ball quite a little bit. See that they've got 5 at the back. So again, we're going to the same situation where Bradshaw's going to be isolated with 3 big centre backs, I'm guessing, And I'll be honest with you, as much as we both need a win, I can only see really one outcome, and that's probably going to be a draw. Whether it be a 0-0 draw, because both teams are not scoring. I think they've scored, maybe sort of 2 or 3 goals in the last sort of 6 games. We've only scored a couple ourselves. Both teams defensively are pretty sound. So you kind of almost can see a 0-0, written all over this one. I mean, what's your thoughts on the Wigan game?
Yeah, this goes back to the point I made earlier around there isn't much difference in a lot of the teams.
No.
So
and that's a bottom team, isn't it? Like
that's
you're
the
saying.
team at the bottom. And don't get me wrong, their form has picked up since Noel Hunt's come in, and ultimately the Colo Torre experiment has cost them. Yeah, to be honest. But there really isn't that much difference. In terms of the game for us, I think that you're right. They're usually more like quite a reserved team, but they can't be in this game. They've got to come at us. The only concern I've got is if they get the first goal, and then they right, we need to do everything we can to protect this lead, and we both know. Every single person watching this will know we cannot break teams down that are pants that just sit behind the ball. We've seen it with Hull, Huddersfield. I think Wigan when we played them before, Birmingham constantly. So that's the problem that I have because we just if they get the first goal, I can see it being a very frustrating afternoon for us. However, if we get the first goal, or the longer the game goes on without a goal, they've got to come out. They've got to come at us. Yeah. And that, I think that honestly, I've said it so many times this season, but that first goal is going to be absolutely crucial.
Can I ask you a question, Chris? Sorry, we mentioned earlier, didn't we, about lack of strikers we have at the moment.
Yeah.
We talked about how we struggle to create openings and chances, especially against lower oppositions, teams that defend well, and we can't break them down. Quite often, what usually happens with Millwall is that Rowett will send Cooper up for the last 5 minutes, and we're hitting long balls up to him. We try and make things happen. But by this point, the opposition team are ready for it. They kind of got 2 players around them. Everyone's picking up the second ball. They're all defensive, and we just hitting balls up into the box. They're not really doing it much for us. How do you feel if we were to change up the formation? Let's say, I know, we're at the 65th minute, we're 1-0 down, we need to attack them. How do you feel about maybe bringing on someone like, I don't know, George Evans, let's say, play him at the back alongside Hutchison, put Cooper up front? I know it sounds really weird. Play Cooper up front alongside Bradshaw, kind of go 4-4-2, using Coops as the aerial target man, if you like, and Bradshaw running off him. So what I'm saying is we're not kind of going into the, right, let's throw everything but the kitchen sink into the box and let's hit these long balls in. Let's play off our football without the urgency of the last few minutes of the game left, and actually almost play with a target man, a big target man that can win headers and flick-ons to maybe Bradshaw or the wide players, and almost change the formation to suit that. Because I just feel that, and I can see it happen. I can see us going down 1-0. I can see us having all the possession, trying to create lots of chances, contributing to 20 shots on target, but again, not making the goalkeeper work or not making anything happen. So rather than wait to the last 5 minutes to then throw Cooper up front when they're all literally defending their penalty box anyway. Do we not go a little bit early with the Cooper up front thing and play a little bit more direct with sort of wingers, get crosses in and try and make things happen, knowing we've got plenty of time to play, and we've got an aerial presence now in the box as well as Bradshaw, who could then sniff out the chances, hopefully, and pick up. What's your thoughts? It's just something that just occurred to us now. I know we sort of thought about this before, but just hearing what you said just now, and understand we have got a problem at the moment in striking. We ain't got any strikers, we ain't got any forwards. Is that an option? Is that an option that as a Millwall fan watching, okay, maybe the word happy is not the right word, but would you, fairly pleased to sort of see that us play that kind of system or that kind of style of football for the last sort of 20, 30 minutes if we desperately need a goal against Wigan?
I
know it's not on the eye.
No, but who cares? Who cares,
That's
mate?
what I'm saying, yeah.
So in my post-match thing, I said that we don't have a plan B, and that the lack of a striker limits us doing one of two things. And this is what I said. So I said, first one is bringing on another striker. The only person I think you could probably bring on is Mason Bennett, because he did play in a 2 up front with Jed, if you remember, the season before last. And then kind of almost just give them something else to think about in the box other than Bradshaw. Keep playing the way we're playing. Maybe bring Styles on to try and sort of cut the defence open, but give them something else to think about. That's one option. The second option is a Matt Smith type. Well, we don't have Matt Smith anymore, and we didn't address the big man in January or the summer. So your only option is what you said. And people can say what they want about George Evans, but one thing George Evans is good at, he's probably the best long-range passer in the club.
Yeah.
And we have done that a couple of times this season. We have brought George Evans on and put him there to ping long balls in.
I think he did that against Huddersfield, didn't he, from memory, when Rarick changed it towards the end. Remember, he brought him on to play that kind of almost false defender, a midfielder, but then to kick those balls in and try and make things happen.
Exactly. So, yes, Cooper's very clumsy. He doesn't look like a striker. But if we need a goal, why not? The only thing I will say is I think Raul is so cautious in his approach. I genuinely think the scenario in him doing that as early on as 70 minutes, 75 minutes would be us to be losing and for him to have checked the results and seen that us losing is knowing
that we need a win.
Knowing that we need a goal. Yeah. If we're drawing or, we're losing but everyone else is not winning around us, I think he's that cautious that he wouldn't do it. I mean, the amount of times that George Long, what was the game? It was the Huddersfield game. George Long looked over at the bench. We had a corner in the last couple of minutes. He looked over at the bench and said, shall I come up? And they said no.
That's right.
Obviously, he did against Birmingham, but this is what I'm saying. I really think it's very, very defensive, cautious mindset first, and then only if we need to do this.
Really desperate,
Yeah. Having said that, one thing I will say is at Hull, he did. Was it Hull or Huddersfield? I can't remember. There was one of those games where we literally had 5 forwards on at one point.
Yeah.
So
I think it was Huddersfield. I remember that game when we literally had everyone up front. But again, the point I'm making was like he did throw everything up front, and it was like 4 or 5 forwards up there. But by that point, you almost got 11 players not defending your 18-yard box, almost defending your 6-yard box.
Yeah.
And they were just there making and they're trying to win. They win headers. They were making life difficult for us. There's just no space at all. Everything that was getting pumped in the box was just getting thrown out, wasn't it? Because they were just literally just there defending for their lives, weren't they? Pretty much.
Yeah, and I think Huddersfield and Birmingham are 2 of the bigger, more physical sides in the league. I'm not defending the team or anything. It's just the fact they are. So if anyone's going to be able to mop up and keep that going, it's going to be them. Blackpool and Wigan, particularly Blackpool, they're not in that kind of physicality. So, and look, how nice would it be to relegate 2 teams in 1 week? Because that could really happen. So,
I mean, that would be amazing ending with it for the next sort of couple of games to sort of have that feat. But yeah, I mean, it's just Millwall though, isn't it? We know what's going to happen. It's going to be a straightforward cutthroat as that. I think in ideal world, we should be going there. We should be winning that game quite comfortably. Let's be honest. We should be winning that 2-0, you know, and relegating them and moving on to the next game. But I just think it's going to be a really, really cagey affair. You know, both teams need to win. Don't offer a lot going forward. However, defensively, both teams are very, very regimented, very, very good defence. There's one thing you can't knock them for. I mean, the only time I think they shipped in 3 goals was against Burnley, and I think they were down to 10 men after about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so apart from that, if they ever lost, it's always been 1-0, you know, and they've really sort of worked, you know, hard to sort of, you know, to grind out draws and stuff. And let's be honest, they're aware of Millwall. They know what Millwall are about as well. I was looking at their Twitter feed earlier, in fact, and I just want to show something to you very, very quickly because it's just interesting. Their striker, a guy called Josh McGuinness, was talking on their, I guess that their Wigan or what they call it, Latix TV, I think they're calling it. Yeah. And it's interesting what he said. You want to hear this?
I think what you said there is crucial. You know, the fight and for anyone that's been around Millwall and sort of know their culture and what they're about, that then fighting is what they do. You know, they've got fantastic footballers with an array of talent and technical ability, but their foundation is hard work, and that's something minimum we're going to have to match on Saturday if we stand a chance of winning. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a tough test, probably a different type of test than what we faced on Tuesday against Stoke, but one we're going to have to relish. You know, the atmosphere at the TW has been fantastic, and hopefully we can use that to drive us forward.
So, you know, they're talking about us already. They know it's going to be a battle. They know it's going to be a tough game. They know we're physical. And when teams know what we're about, they come with their A game. They know they're going to be up for this one. They know that they're going to have to get a result against us, and they're going to have to be physical. So it's going to be a real tough game. And like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I just can't see us winning this game. I hate being negative, and I shouldn't be, but I just can't help it. I just feel we're either going to draw 0-0, we end up losing 1-0. And, you know, what more can I say? Yeah, it's a bit depressing, really. I feel really sorry for our listeners.
I'm going to cheer our audience up, Joe, by saying that I think we're going to win because I'm usually very pessimistic, as you know. So yeah, the reason I think we'll win is because I agree with all the points you said. They're very defensive mindset. That, you know, sorry, not defensive mindset. They're very
hard to break down.
Yeah. But the difference is, Joe, they have to win. A draw is no good to them.
But then we had to win really against Birmingham. We had to win against Hull. We had to get, you know, all these games. Doesn't matter how much you want to win.
Yeah, but this really is their last chance. Like
it is. You're right.
The difference is we still had 4, 5, 6. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying fact. If they don't win this game, I am 90% certain they're down. So
do you think with their win against Stoke would give them some almost hope that they can go, now they're at home against Millwall, we had a good result against Stoke, we're now playing Millwall at home, we should go on and win this game? And that mindset could be to our benefit, in like you said, they're going to have to attack us anyway, but the fact that they know they've got a result against Stoke away, they're now at home as the home team against Millwall. Do they then go on the front foot, like you're saying, but they really kind of push on? I mean, that could work for us or against us. We could be 2-0 down after 15 minutes, couldn't we, you know?
Absolutely, mate. And all you can say is there's pressure on both teams, but the pressure is more so on them because it's as I say, they have to win. And the way I see in my little dream scenario going is that we'll get a goal. It won't be pretty, but we'll go 1-0 up after sort of 20, 30 minutes. They will then get an equaliser and it will be very sort of ding-dong for the last 20 minutes, but we'll somehow scrape through and win 2-1. But that is me being very optimistic, and I'm usually not. So
I hope you're right. Obviously, you're very good at sort of, you know, knowing about other teams and other players. I mean, who's to watch at Wigan? Who should be sort of wary of? I mean, we all know about James McLean and that kind of pantomime villain thing he's got going with Mill. So he's obviously going to be playing, and I'm sure he'll want nothing more but stop us in our tracks going up. So there'll be a little bit of that going on as well. We mentioned about Will Keane being a good scorer. Is there anyone else there we should be sort of thinking or kind of watching out for that could be a bit of a thorn on our side, do you think?
They haven't really got any stars, I would say. I was really impressed with, I think his name's Callum Lang, when they played us at the Den, and he had Murray Wallace in pieces. But I don't know. I can't sit here and say whether I've seen if he's been playing or if he's in a lot of form recently. I've always thought Max Power's not a bad player. I think he takes a lot of their set pieces, and he's a real sort of workhorse. Obviously the chap you played the video for, Josh McGuinness, he I'm almost certain he was a goalkeeper for a long time. And then he
I read that when he was at Watford, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's played for Charlton, he's played for Bolton, and obviously Wigan now. And he's a lump, and he's always up for but his technical ability is. If you think Vogie's got no technical ability, you want to see Josh McGuinness. But yeah, they would be the sort of players. There's no one else that stands out. I just personally would love to relegate our friend James McLean.
Yeah. So on paper, what you're saying is, would you say Millwall are a better team on paper, like for like players?
I would, and
we're a better side.
I would say that, and I've said a lot of times this season when we beat teams like Preston, Stoke, I don't think there's much in the 11s. I really, really don't, and I think it's ultimately down to the fact that we've got a very hard-working, honest, resilient group of players, and a decent tactical manager. As long as you can put up with a crappy defensive play that he gives us. Yeah. But Wigan, I think that we're definitely better than them on paper, and ultimately it will boil down to who wants it more. I don't think it'll be that, because I don't think our players will need any more motivation.
And neither will theirs.
Neither will Wigan. I think it will be down to a bit of luck and nerves. I really do. I really, really do. But look around the league, mate. Look what happened on. We all thought our season was over on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday, not one team won. So,
but how often can we go on relying on other scores going our way? That's the thing. You could do it like 1 week, maybe even 2. But we've only got 3 games left now. Blackburn got a game in hand over us as well. There's still teams that mathematically can jump us. I think like West Brom and others like that. So. We need to start putting out some wins, surely. It may come down to the last game of the season. It could be a game against Blackburn where we have to win in order for us to go into the playoffs. And I'll be honest with you, I think if we're at home to Blackburn, I feel more confident playing Blackburn at home last game of the season than I do away to Wigan and away to Blackpool, if I'm honest. Only because we do raise our games against these biggest, better teams, don't we?
I'm torn there, because I agree we do raise our game against these bigger teams, but at the same time, we've proven we're not that great when the pressure's on us. And I'm not saying the pressure's not on us going away to Wigan and Blackpool, but you look at our away form in the last 15 matches. I think we've won something stupid like 6 or 7 of our last away games. Our away form is brilliant at the moment. Our home form, we've won, I think I said it was 4 out of the last 13 at home. Yeah, so good. I don't know. And I think for the last 2 seasons, definitely last year, Blackburn scored a last-minute equaliser. It was near the start of last season at home. And we I don't think we've beaten Blackburn for a few years. So I don't know. I do think it will come down to the last game of the season. If I'm being really honest, I said before the Luton. I think it was the Luton game. I said I think we need 10 points between then and the end of the season, and that 10 points needed to include wins against Preston and Blackburn. So far we have 4 of those points, with the draw against Luton and the win against Preston. So we need 6 more. So I'm convinced we win against either Blackpool or Wigan, and then we beat Blackburn, we will be in the playoffs. But what you don't want to do is lose against Wigan, knowing you've then got to get 2 wins out of 2 in your last 2 games.
Exactly. So,
what would your lineup be for Wigan, Joe? I'd really love to hear. Based on what we talked about.
I think one thing's for certain: we need some changes. it's a tough one because we haven't been playing terribly, although we're not scoring goals. But we've been playing pretty okay. There seems to be a good understanding, good balance amongst the team. We seem to be creating lots of chances over the last few games, but something's not quite working for us at the moment. So I'll be tempted to sort of change players in lots of positions, really. So first things first. For me, I think Bart needs to come in. Now, I've been, sort of batting Long's corner for all season. People be saying about Bart getting back in because I feel that Long hasn't done too much wrong in previous games, and what he does, he brings the confidence to the defensive line. I think that we play better with Long in goal. He seems to kind of read situations better. He comes out his box better. His footwork is really good. We talk about his distribution being really good. However, he makes mistakes. And I'm not saying that he's at Jordan Archer level just yet. But he's probably made more mistakes than the things I got on my hand at the moment. I mean, I've lost count of the amount of times he's balls up and conceded goals where we feel, should he have got that? Should he have not got it? Whereas with Bart, I could probably only count on one hand how many mistakes he's made. And not just this, this season. I'm talking about even previous seasons. Yes, he's human. And yes, he's going to make mistakes, Bart, but he doesn't seem to make it as frequent or as often enough as Long does. So I think for this period, with the next 3 games, and let's hope and pray we get to the playoffs, I will just feel a bit more comfortable with Bart in goal, knowing we've got a shot stopper there, someone who's going to rescue us and make these incredible saves and help us out. So we tend to get Bart back in goal.
So before you move on,
and
maybe what we should do is sort of do back and forth, like your goal in, my goal in, so on and so forth. So my only question to you on Bart is, so I agree with everything you said, by the way, and I think Bart's a better keeper. I don't necessarily see all of the hate for George Long. I don't think he's as bad as you say as like Archer and stuff like that.
No, he's not at that level, no.
Whilst he's made mistakes, 9 times out of 10, it's not he's cost us this goal. It's he should have done better with that. It's not like do you know what I mean? It's not like he's let one through his legs or anything like that. Yeah. It's more of a case of, I expect a championship goalie to save that. My only question to you on Bart is, he's been out the side so long, and I get the impression he is a bit of a confidence, just through his interactions on Twitter and stuff like that. I get the impression he's a bit of a confidence person. How much of a risk do you think it is bringing him in from the cold in such a high pressure situation?
Yeah. So first things first, he's not a young rookie goalkeeper. Yeah, he's a very, very experienced goalkeeper. He's played hundreds of games at this level, championship level. He's a very mature, strong-headed sort of keeper. I think in some ways, this rest has probably done him the world of good physically, more so than mentally, because we know he's had underlying sort of issues and his knees or whatever it has been. And I think not having these competitive games, if anything, it's probably given him more time to heal, more time to recover. Hopefully that fire is in his belly still. If he gets an opportunity to play for us, he wants to get back into that in between those sticks and try and stake a claim for being number 1 keeper again for us. So answer to your question, I don't think mentally he'll be the slightest bit bothered. I think all keepers are a bit crazy, aren't they? They always say to be a goalkeeper, you've got to be a bit crazy. Who want to stand there and get shots kicked at them, balls hit them every 100 miles per hour? So I think he'll be fine. I really do. I think if he gets a chance to play in goal, I think he'll be absolutely fine, and I think he'll do a good job for us. I mean, like I said, forget about the negatives with Long. I mean, he has made some great saves for us. And I'm talking about in recent weeks, not just this season.
Had a good save on Tuesday against Burnley.
Yeah, he can do it. So yes, he makes a few little errors here and there sometimes, and you feel, could he have done better? Blah blah blah. But he has also saved us some great, goals that we prevent from goals from going in, because he does make these good saves. So he's not a terrible keeper, but I just think for now we just need to get Bart in there and just almost kind of like have a bit more security, if you like, at the back. How do you move on to the back 4? I mean, is there a shout to kind of give Chapz a go at right back now and give Danny McNamara a bit of a rest? I mean, he's had a bit of a topsy sort of turvy times in the last sort of few games, and people being not necessarily calling them out, but there's a few sort of disgruntled fans that are not too pleased with his performance. What do you make of that?
Yeah, and I think that some of the criticism he's got is really unjust, if I'm being honest. Like,
do you blame him for that goal against Birmingham?
So in my post-match thing, I sort of said that I felt the blame was sort of shared between a few different players. I thought Hutch played a stupid ball forwards, then came straight back. Danny Mac dives in. Don't know why Cooper then sort of goes to the floor, and then why Long comes out. It's just a catalogue of errors. However, if Danny Mac doesn't dive in, the whole thing doesn't happen. So, I don't know. I think, again, it's not one of those ones where I'll go, that is solely Danny Mac's fault.
No. Because like you're saying, at that point, you're pretty much near the halfway line anyway, when the player does. Was it Kedra?
There's a lot that happens after that.
Exactly. So, he shouldn't take the blame. Yes, it kind of stems from him a little bit, but you're right. I think Cooper's got to do a lot better. And Long, whether it's, again, bad luck, the ball kind of hits his side and goes into the goal. There's definitely more than one person that's involved in that, But going back to Danny Mac, what's your thoughts on him? Does he need to start again, or do you feel that now's the time to almost teach him a lesson, give him a break? What is it at the moment, do you think?
Yeah, and if I was Gary Rowett, I'd want to know two things before making this decision, right? And let me explain myself, so I feel like I need to, because I'm not just sitting on the fence for no reason. So I'd want to know whether or not, as a man manager, dropping Danny Mac would actually help or not. So again, this is how you know your players. If you think dropping them, taking them out of the side, taking away from the limelight is a good thing, or whether actually it's just going to ruin his confidence completely, that, because in the day, is our long-term right back. So I think that's one thing that needs to be considered. The second thing is, I've seen an article today about Shackleton, and to me, the way I interpret it is it all confirms he ain't going to be there next year. So the person you would bring in would be Shackleton, but if there's absolutely no chance he's going to be there next year, and you think about where his head's possibly at, then you don't risk him. And maybe that's why he hasn't come in. I don't know. So I'm sitting on the fence. I don't know.
What if I put it to you that Chapz has got one last chance to almost impress Rowett and try and get a contract for next season, and therefore give him the opportunity, give him the chance to play,
bring him in
and see what he does. I mean, we're playing against a team that play five at the back with wing backs, so he's not exactly going to have any wingers to sort of deal with as such. I mean, yes, McLean will get forward, but ultimately McLean's job is also to defend. So isn't it better to have a fullback that's going to attack McLean and force him back, rather than having a defensive-minded fullback like Danny Mac that, yes, will deal with McLean if he comes at him, but how often is that going to happen, if that makes any sense,
Yeah.
So I think they've both got qualities, Shaq and Danny Mac, but personally, despite all the mishaps and mistakes that Danny Mac's done in recent weeks, I still will probably pick him over Shackleton at right back for his defensive responsibility.
100%.
I think 1v1, he is one of the best, I think, in the championship. I think I'll say as a fullback.
Completely agree.
So clever, so good the way he kind of positions his body and the time of his tackles. But going forward, I just think, again, we need to win and put them, put it on them a little bit. I think we need someone like Shackleton, who I think is a lot more effective on the ball, especially going forward. And that would be my reason why I would probably pick Shackleton over Danny Mac for Saturday's game,
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I think I'd probably go with the same back three on the left, and then bring Shax in. The only thing I would say
with Malone, of course,
Malone. Wallace is out, but even if he wasn't, I'd keep Malone.
But you wouldn't put Styles in there then?
Not a left back, personally. No. But just before we come on to that, I want to touch on something else with Danny Mac.
Yeah.
Now, Ollie Burke seems to be the latest scapegoat amongst social media with Millwall fans. And I'll be honest, I have to say, and it's not just because Rowett came out with this, I defended him on my post-match when I did it a couple of days ago. I actually think his last couple of games, he's been pretty good, to be honest. I do. And I think he warrants his place in the team. But what I would say is, Danny Mack's form seems to coincide with Ollie Burke coming into the team over George Honeyman. So is there anything in that? Is it the fact that Ollie Burke leaves him exposed, or he's not quite clicking with Ollie Burke? What's your view on that, Joe?
I think that there's definitely some kind of truth in that. Quite clearly, George Honeyman does a lot more off the ball than Burke does. Everything from his positioning sense, his tackling, his pressing. He certainly offers a lot more, and it does help out Danny Mack immensely. And that could be a contributing factor to maybe Danny Mack being a little bit isolated or a little bit, left alone at the times, because he doesn't quite have the players going to kind of help out and double up on the wingers like George Honeyman would do. So I think you're right. There could be a possibility there as well. That being said, okay, we conceded a goal against Birmingham, but I don't think defensively is really the issue at the moment for us, is it? The problem is we're not leaking and conceding 2 or 3 goals a game. We're keeping clean sheets, and occasionally we might ship one in now and again. But the problem we need to address is the attacking side, in the attacking third. Yeah. And I think Burke offers more than George Honeyman maybe as a bit of a threat. He's a bit more direct, a bit more, a bit more attacking sort of presence, I guess, in some sort of ways. Now we're yet to kind of see him sort of contribute much with goals or assists. And to be fair to Honeyman, okay, he's played more games there, but he looks a bit more threatening in regards to his contribution in creating, assists, or maybe getting on a score sheet when he has done in the past. So I think it's a case of, at the moment, Burke is probably more what we need. If that means that Danny Mack's going to suffer a little bit defensively, I think that's the gamble we've got to play with at the moment. At the moment, I think if both Honeyman and Burke were fit and available, I think I'll still be tempted to go with Burke, purely for the fact we need that bit more of an attacking presence. And it is a little bit of Russian roulette, because, like you say, he doesn't give us what Honeyman does defensively, but at the moment we've got to think about attack-wise, and we need to kind of get up that other end of the field and make things happen and try and create and score more goals, don't we?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not saying I would change Burke. I just thought it's an interesting trend that since he's come in, Danny Mack's form seems to have dipped. But so moving on to, before we move on to the midfield, are we agreed with the back 4, or are you saying that you'd bring Styles in at left back?
No. I mean, Styles will come on to later. I mean, he's fit to play.
I mean, agreed with the back 4.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper, I'll just be different. I'll keep Long.
Okay.
And obviously you've got Bart.
For what reason, out of curiosity?
Because two reasons. First one is, 3 reasons. I'll give you 3. Why not? Okay. First one is, I still, as much as I can probably count at least half a dozen goals that we've conceded recently that I expect George Long to do better with. I don't think any of them you could go, that's your fault. 100% that is on you. So that's one reason. The second reason is, I don't know what Bart would be getting. And I get your view is that he'd come back in, everything would be fine. I'm not convinced. So that's the second reason. And then the third reason, I've completely forgotten. What was it? I've forgotten my third reason. But there was one. But
you should have stuck with 2, give us a bonus one.
Yeah. No, there was one, but I've forgotten it. My memory is absolutely shocking at the minute.
If you remember, we'll come back to it.
Yeah. So that's where where we got a slight difference of opinion on that. But the back 4 were the same. Yeah. Holding midfield, can we just gloss over that?
Well, you like to think that's pretty kind of cemented in, isn't it? It's set in stone in regards to Saville, Mitchell. Yes, you can make cases to bring Styles in there, and Styles did look pretty good when he came on against Birmingham in that central midfield role for Sav. So it gives a bit more going forward, I felt. But I think as you set up, to have Saville or Mitchell, their understanding, they've got a real good understanding between each other. It seems to work. We've got a good balance there. So I'll be tempted to kind of keep it as it is. I wouldn't want to tinker too much with those two. Obviously, if either having a bad game or whatever it might be, and you want to change it, then fair play. But to start off, I think you've got to kind of go with them. They're both two very experienced central midfielders now for us that play a lot of games together and have got good understanding. So I'll stick with that. I think the number 10, the attacking midfield role, I think again it's another given. Fleming. I can't see anyone else.
No.
Really?
No, I'm going to be controversial. So before we move on to number 10, agree with you with Billy Mitchell and George Sav, and I actually think there won't be many better partnerships in that area in the division, to be honest.
Yeah.
My third reason for George Long, by the way, was the fact that, to your point, ultimately, if we took our chances that we had in the Birmingham game, in the whole game, then we'd have won the game regardless. It's not as though we're shipping 2, 3, 4 goals a game. No. It's 1 goal every other game or whatever. So I don't really think we've got a huge problem there. That was my third point.
Yeah.
So going on to I tell you what, rather than telling me your number 10, tell me your front 4, because I think that might.
Yeah. Well, I know, I wouldn't say it's the elephant in the room, but Volksammer. That's
your mate.
My mate. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. I really do. I can just see he's a lovely, lovely guy. And I'm sure he'll give you his last Rolo. He had one, and he'll do all the lovely things, and he'll buy you a beer. Yeah, exactly. But I just can't understand why he gets picked to start and play. I mean, yes, defensively works hard, and maybe Rowett trusts him and he likes him. I mean, again, without sort of going over this again, when we had that chat with Rowett, he mentioned, didn't he, about Fleming and Volksammer in particular, the two, not his two favourite players, but he kind of complimented them on their approach to football, their approach to the game, their professionalism, how they trained, everything they did. It was almost like he wanted the younger players to look up to these two guys, and he holds Volksammer in very high esteem, and that's lovely. Because he sees them more than we do. We only see him on match days, don't we? But I can only talk about what I see in match days. Yep. And for me, I just don't see enough from him. Yes, there's effort, and he did play a bit better, I think against Birmingham. He put some tackles in, he did track back, he tried to clear a couple of clear the ball away a couple of times, but he doesn't really add a lot of quality, he doesn't really create a lot of chances, doesn't contribute much attacking wise, and for that reason, I just feel a bit hesitant to sort of pick him to play to start. I mean, he is really a squad player. He's there if, God forbid, we have an injury, and he comes in and he plays up top or whatever it might be, But I don't think he should be starting. And I think there's other players that should be starting ahead of him. And luckily, when we've got 1 or 2 of these players come back from injury, I think they deserve to be ahead of him to start.
Well, then, so what's your front 4 then?
Well, again, it's very hard to sort of pick because we don't really know the levels of the players' fitness. I mean, these players talk about like the likes of Bennett, the likes of Bury, the likes of Stiles. They come back from injury, but are they 100%? Have they got 90 minutes and have they got 70 minutes and have they even got 60 minutes? We don't know. We don't know how fit they are, do we? But I think if everyone's fit to play, I think you've got to start with Bennett on the left-hand side over Volksammer. I will start with Burke on the right side. Now, I love SA, and for weeks and weeks and weeks, I'll probably get on your nerves. Everyone else knows about starting SA, and I really do think he should start. But I think he is a young pup. I can see why Rowett's a little bit reluctant to kind of start him in these games. And let's be honest with you, at the moment he's an impact player, and when he does come on, he does make an impact. So he's doing what we need him to do. And I'll probably be tempted to keep him on the bench for now. And we could talk about SA later. I'm sure we'll have a little debate on that. But I will go with Fleming still on the 10. Mm-hmm. I don't think Fleming's done a lot wrong. Yes, he kind of blows hot and cold. And there are some games where you kind of question and you look back on what Fleming's done. And sometimes it's not a lot. But I think he does enough. Even when he doesn't play well, I think he does enough in linking up play, in the way he kind of lifts the rest of the team. You know, you see him kind of barking instructions and telling players where they should be, and kind of, you know, and I think having him in that team in that number 10 role is very effective. He still scores a lot of goals for us from that position, which gives us, you know, 14 goals we wouldn't have if it wasn't for him playing for us at the moment. So I think you've got to have him in the team. You've got to have him in that number 10 role. And I will probably stick with Bradshaw up front as well. So that'd be my attacking four. How about yourself?
Yep, no, agree. My four depends on who is fitter out of Styles and Bennett. That's what it depends on. And this is where I was going with Fleming. I actually think Fleming has been quite effective from the left. In the games where he's moved out to the left, he's been quite effective. And the last couple of games, teams have done a job on him. You know, the likes of Huddersfield, Birmingham, they've done a job on him, and he's been quite ineffective. So I think I wouldn't drop him. I'm not suggesting that for a second. No. But maybe shifting him to the left could be interesting.
Yeah.
Burke on the right, I genuinely think if you can't see that Burke has been one of our more effective players going forwards in the last few games, then I think you're not seeing what is.
Can I just ask that? What, when you say effective, I mean, I get, you know, when I think of Burke, I think what does he do well? I think, okay, he runs fast. He's pretty good in the air. Doesn't always win the headers, but yeah, his leap is really effective. And you know, there are a couple of occasions in the game, probably 2 out of 5 headers he'll win, and he'll win them really well. But I don't see him creating any clear-cut chances. I don't see him playing like key passes, or, you know, yes, against Hull he had a few chances to score where he didn't score, but he got in good positions for them, I guess you could argue. But what you're saying there, how would you validate that? Because really, the proof's in the pudding, and he hasn't really done much in regards to creating chances or scoring goals for us, has he? You know.
So it depends. I mean, first of all, no one else has. So I think you can't just use that argument with Burke. The kind of, without getting all statistical and whatever on you, the sort of KPIs that I look at in terms of where I would say Burke has been effective. The first one is yardage. He's the only player we've got in the team that can carry the ball up the pitch. And if you
stretch the defenders as well.
Stretch the defenders. And if you watch that game back, you watch the game back against Birmingham, he's the only player that did that. And he is able to take the ball and carry it 20 or 30 yards. We don't have anyone else in the team that does that. So that's the first thing. The second thing he did, and again, watching it back, there were 2 balls that he put into the box which weren't showed on the extended highlights because they weren't a chance. But the reason they weren't a chance was because no bugger was actually anticipating it. They were 2 decent balls into good areas that flashed across the goal that if we had 2 in the middle or whatever, they would have been more of a chance. So they're the 2 reasons. He did put some decent balls in, and he's a ball carrier. Plus, yes, he quite clearly doesn't have a football brain or much of a brain at all, if I'm being honest. But what he does have is pace and a physicality that does scare teams. I just think he offers something different. I really do. I'll just leave it there. I'll leave it there. By the way, Joe, check the chat for me.
Okay, sorry.
That would be... Yes, so just go back to the front four. So Burke on the right, Fleming on the left. This is assuming that Styles is fitter than Bennett.
Right.
Yeah. I would put Styles in the 10 and then Bradshaw up front. Now, the reason I put Styles in the 10 is because when he came on against Birmingham, and I said that he should have come on at half time if he was fit. He's got that eye for a pass. He's got that ability to just composure, that technical ability to find passes and open up. Plus, having him on the pitch, it deflects it all from Fleming, because I think that then they've got 2 players to think about that are actually equally quite technical. And when I was having a chat with Mason Bennett and Duncan Watmore, they asked me a question which I thought was really interesting. They said to me, I quote, "Is Zian Fleming the best player you've seen down here for the last X number of years?"
Is that what they asked you?
They asked me that, and that was unprompted. Duncan Watmore asked me that, so it wasn't a case of, "Oh, we rate Fleming. What do you?" They asked that, so therefore, they, in their opinion, it must be obvious how good he is.
Yeah.
And I asked back, I was like, "Oh, is there anyone else in the team that has got those sort of levels?" And they both said Callum Styles is a serious player. His technical ability is up there, like with the best that they played with, and he's only like 22, 23. They couldn't get over it. So that is why I think Callum Styles offers us something different. It detracts from Fleming. However, I also totally get your argument. I am a massive Mason Bennett fan, and if he's fit, he has to start because he is a game changer for me.
Yeah. I just think with Bennett, if he can stay fit, and he doesn't go down injured, he offers us all the things that we're missing. He gives us pace. He's got determination. He's got drive. He's got power. Yeah, he can score goals. He can create chances. He can make things happen. Go back to your point very slightly with Styles. I do agree with you putting him in number 10 because that 1-2 he played with Fleming against Birmingham, and that shot he pinged from the edge of the box, he hit that with venom, and it was hard. It was low to the point the keeper. If you watch the replay of that, the keeper makes his first save. I think the ball comes out and Bradshaw tries to shoot the rebound, but he's actually slightly injured from the first shot from Styles. It kind of wins him almost because as the ball's flying, he kind of dives. It kind of hits his stomach almost, bounces off, but he actually wins with that power. And did Styles play for Barnsley before? Was he at Barnsley, Styles?
Technically, he still does.
Okay, yeah. Well, I remember their players talk about him before when he left about how he loves to play a number 10 role, but they always thought he was better as a wing back, as a defender. But that's where he sees himself, Styles. He wants to play in a number 10. He enjoys that. And I just think, like you say, I think he can probably have the technical ability and the creativity to kind of open up and create things.
Which is what we need, right?
Yeah.
We need. Well, we are creating lots of chances, but they're very samey chances. The type we're creating. We just need someone to just open the defense up and pick a pass, find that little slide rule pass. And again, I can't stress enough, people will figure out about Zian Fleming, and they already started to, right? So give them something else to think about. Switch it up a little bit, start something a little bit different. Plus, Callum Styles now wears his socks halfway down his shin, so I'm expecting him to automatically become twice the player that he was.
Is that a new thing? Is it you spot? Is it?
Yeah, first time I've seen it against Birmingham. Not that I like. It makes me sound like a right weirdo that I always look at people. It's one of them things you notice it. Like Bradshaw's started doing it in your last year or so.
Yeah. I wonder why they do that for. One of us something to do with their calves, maybe to give them more oxygen to their calves. I guess you see like players like Saka, that you cut in their socks, and Jude Bellingham. They do that to allow more ventilation into the calf muscles, don't they?
Well, why don't they just build that into the sock? Like you'd think, okay, it's like all the players wear these sort of grip socks, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, why don't they build it?
I'm sure there's probably are socks out there that have actually got these already made holes in the back of them, haven't they, to allow them to do that. I'm just conscious we're going over the hour mark. We've probably gone longer than we wanted to. So to end it off, we're going to have a very, very quick debate on Roman Essa. Now, I know the fan base is almost kind of split here. I mean, probably, I'll say split. I mean, I'd probably say more in favour for Essa to start. Am I right or wrong in saying that?
I would say so, that 60-40, 70-30 in favour of Essa given a
I would say
start.
that. Now, you're probably in favour of him not starting, where I've always said that he should start. And I guess if I go first, state my claim, the point I'm making is, okay, he comes on for 5-10 minutes sometimes. Some of them come on, for more than a few minutes, let's say, But the point I'm making is when he comes on for those 10 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes, he creates chances. Always a case, he'd always get 1, 2, maybe even 3 crosses in the box. Now, admittedly, they're not always inch perfect crosses. They don't always go to the to where it needs to go to, or and I'm not saying that they're hit and miss, because that's probably taking the piss a little bit out of him. He does put some dangerous balls in, but sometimes they're kind of whipped in too hard. It's probably ahead of Bradshaw, or it's over Bradshaw's head, or it's not quite getting to the intended player. But the point I'm making is he's very, very good at creating space for himself to then put crosses in. And he does it very clever. He's got great feet, and he does the old step overs, and he rolls the ball, and he kind of, and quite often you see the defenders look at him thinking, oh yeah, here we go. And then suddenly they double up on him. And it doesn't matter, there's 2 defenders on him or 3 players on him. He seems to find a way to sort of navigate or do something to create even just half a yard to ping a cross in. And I love that about him. I love that he's got that ability to do it. When you look at our other players, look at Volksammer, Burke even, Honeymore, a few others, when they get in those 1v1 situations, 9 times out of 10, and I hope you agree with me on this, they will play the ball backwards. If there's not a clear chance to get a cross in, rather than try and take the player on, drop the shoulder, or try and make things happen, they will play the ball back to Danny Mack or play it to Mitchell and then try and work it again, and try again. It just goes backwards. And whereas Esse's got the ball, and he never for a second does he think, right, I'm going to play this ball back to Danny Mack, or I'm going to play it back to Mitchell. He's got one thing and one thing only. I'm going to get that ball in the box. And he's there to take that player on. And I love that about it. And all I'm saying is, if he does that in the space of 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the game, give him a start. Give him an opportunity to start the game. Now, I don't think he's got 90 minutes in his locker. I really don't, because he hasn't built up that kind of fitness levels just yet in the Championship. Playing under 18s or whatever it might be, under 21s, to then going to do 90 minutes in a Championship game is very, very difficult. But at least give him a start. If you could get 60 minutes out of 65 minutes out of him, let's see what he can do. He does track back. I know people say he doesn't track back enough, or he's not as strong or disciplined as the other players are and get back. But I have seen him get back, and I've seen him get back and make tackles, crucial tackles, win the ball, and then almost start attacks again. I've seen him do that. I've seen him win tackles, and then literally make a transition, and then look to counter attack on it. So I think it's a bit unfair people calling him out for his lack of defensive duties or the mindset of being defensive. But for me, I just think he's a raw talent that he needs minutes in order to develop and progress as a player. And yes, he's young. And I'm not trying to compare him to the likes of Saka, Rooney, Bellingham, because these are Premiership, standard players. But, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And if Rooney was given an opportunity to play for Everton back in the day, and again, these are players at another level. I'm not trying comparisons to Esse. Esse's quality, but these guys are world class. I'm talking about lots of Rooney, Bellingham, Saka. But what I'm saying is they were entrusted to play, and they weren't quite the finished article when they first started playing. If you look at the first few games of what Rooney played, when Saka played, they weren't what they are today. But they're still, But what I'm making is they needed the game time in order to make mistakes, to improve, and to get better and to develop, in a first team. And I just think Esse needs the opportunity to show what he can do to work out, make some mistakes if he needs to in those final third areas. I don't think he's going to cost us defensively. I think let him play, let him build his game, let him develop, and hopefully he'll create more for us. So that's my case for Esse. Over to you, Chapz.
All right, I'll give you mine now. So I want to start off by saying that any other scenario other than us going for promotion, I would agree to start him. So I just want to say that. And I also want to say I am a massive Esse fan. This is not me saying that I'm not. And I said in my post-match that the amount of potential and talent this kid's got at 17, he could go on to be one of our best ever players, right? So I like him. I just want to make sure that's really clear. Where I disagree with you, though, is, first of all, I don't think he's got as much end product as you're saying. I think people are wanting to see it because they're wanting him to do well, as we all do. But factually, it's not there. There was 1 or 2 games where he did put some real dangerous balls in and no one gambled and no one capitalized. But the last two times he's come on at home, so I'm talking about Huddersfield and I'm talking about
Preston.
Birmingham. Not Preston, the 2 games we've lost where he's sort of come on. I honestly don't think he's had much of an impact whatsoever. In terms of, can he take people on, put a cross in? Yes. But are those crosses quality and do they lead to anything? For me, not so much at the minute. I agree with you about the attacking intent and the one thing in mind. And I also agree with you that he can make mistakes. He's only 17. But that is exactly why I wouldn't play him right now, because I do not think we can afford to take those sort of risks. That's one point.
So if you're saying, come back to what you said there, if we're a mid-table team at the moment, nothing to play for, you're saying you would start him?
100%.
Okay.
100%. Because why not? You know, there's no risk. It's like an experiment in a way. The other couple of points I want to say is, and they're kind of related. Him coming on, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever, it doesn't matter. Him coming on in the situations he's coming on at is when the other team is tired, because we've been pelting them for ages but can't break them down, and we are camped in their half. That is a very different scenario to starting a starting game where it's 0-0, everything's equal, it's kind of a bit of chess back and forth, that kind of thing. I also think he's too lightweight at the moment. Your references to Rooney, Saka and Bellingham take quality away. They were all built instantly. He's very, very slight. So whilst I actually do think his defensive work's okay.
Maybe Rooney, I'll say Jude Bellingham and Rooney were. Saka, if you remember, wasn't quite built. I think he's become a lot more bigger, built himself up now as he's got a bit older.
And that's what Esse needs to do. So, basically, I think he's a great player. And I think any other scenario other than the one that we're in, and if, for example, if we lose against Wigan and the last 2 games there's nothing to play for, I'd throw him straight in. But at this moment in time, I think it's too much pressure on the young lad. I would certainly give him more than 10 minutes, 100%. I don't disagree there. Yeah. But I think at the moment, not quite for me to start.
Can I ask you a question? Before Bennett came back, before Styles come back, Bury, when we and Honeyman was injured, when we only had Burke, Watmore, and Volksammer available to play on the wings, would you not have put Esse ahead of Watmore or Volksammer? I'm talking like last sort of 2 or 3 games.
So, coincidentally, the one game I said, why not give him a go, was at home to Preston. And then we ended up not playing him and winning 2-0. So, I don't know. I don't think Birmingham was the right game for him because they had 2 absolute tanks of fullbacks that he, for me, again, with his physicality, wasn't the right game. And the whole game before that, we did have, Honeyman was available. Watmore was. We had more to choose from. Yeah. So it's difficult. But yeah, I mean, neither of us have put him in our starting lineup for Wigan. So I think,
that's it. And like you, I agree. I'm a massive Esse fan as well. I think he's great, and I hope he has a long future with us, as long as we can keep him for. And I think he will be a real player for us one day. But given the fact we've got more players available that come back from injury, I'm agreeing with you. I wouldn't start him. Certainly wouldn't start him against Wigan. And depending on how the rest of the season goes, I think I'll just keep him as an impact player at the moment, so he comes off the bench. And
let's ask that question. So, if you've managed to still listen to us 113 minutes in,
this proves whether people are actually still here listening and not getting bored of us after all this time. It'd be interesting how many are still here. So if you are here, comment.
Yeah, listeners, comment. So, like, if you're, and I'll tell you what, I'll keep it simple. Just answer this one question: would you start him against Wigan?
Yeah,
that's the one question I'd be asking. So, although Joe and I have got slightly different opinions on him, we're both saying no. What is your view? Give us your thoughts in the chat.
Brilliant.
And we'll close it out there, Joe. Any sort of final comments? I'll tell you what, give us your prediction for Wigan, because I've already said 2-1. What's your prediction?
I hope you're right and I hope I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be 0-0. Like I said, both teams don't concede a lot. Both teams don't score a lot. And I just think it's going to be a tough game for us. And I just can't see us winning it, unfortunately. I say I hope I'm wrong, but that's just my gut feeling.
I I speak for every single Millwall fan. We all hope you're wrong. So
I hope I'm wrong as well.
But yeah.
What's your
All
predictions? You're saying 2-1, yeah?
2-1. Yeah.
Cool. I hope you're right.
I'm confident. I'm not going to the Wigan game, but we're
both going to Blackpool, aren't we?
We're both going to Blackpool. So hopefully we're going
nothing
there.
If there's nothing else to play for when we play Blackpool, let's go have an ice cream on the pier, couldn't we? Have they got a pier in Blackpool still, have they?
Yeah, I think so.
They must have, yeah.
We'll find out.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks, Joe. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll roll on Wigan away.
Fingers crossed.
Cheers. Bye for now.